right, Talk the Walk. TalkThaWalk19. I didn't stop so abruptly. This week, sorry we weren't here last week. This week we're doing Still and Alone. And
Still Alone.
Still Alone. I thought that was funny that it kind of matched up that way. I think there's a few episodes that do that where it kind of says something.
Right. Well, I think, that a lot of times, even before now, they kind of play off of each other, just kind of how it's going.
I'll pull that up, and we can see if any more correspond. But we're running a little late today.
Right.
You've been stuck out in the rain. Tell me what you did this weekend.
The rain and the cold. Yesterday and today played in the South Carolina Doubles Disc Golf Championship.
Doubles disc? Does that mean you throw two discs at once?
Right, that would be awesome. With one in each hand. Makes it tough if you're right-handed or left. No, but it's like me and a partner played out in Central at their disc golf course.
I've never played disc golf. The rules must be similar to actual golf.
It's pretty similar to golf. I mean, you have a tee box and then fairways and a basket.
I've seen the nets.
The big chain baskets that you throw into. And it's like the one out there is pretty challenging. It's a pretty nice course that they have in Central. So
we have a little crappy one here in Anderson.
Yeah, I'm not a big fan of the one.
I was going to say, I don't know how disc golf works. Is it a pretty good course? Or is it definitely a bad one?
The one over by the Civic Center is okay. It's not near as good as the one up there, but there was different divisions. Like there was actually pros out there playing, and they had like pretty good guys like right under them. And then there's intermediate, which we played in the intermediate. We came in third.
Oh wow!
So
out of how many people? 4?
No, it was like about 9 teams.
Okay.
So
that's not bad.
There's 2 other guys. There's 4 of us that play together a lot, and our goal was just to beat the other team, essentially, so that we could have bragging rights over the other 2. So, I mean, now we have bragging rights. I actually finished up on the last hole. I made like this amazing shot, and we actually won our group with that shot, and I walked off and got to talk shit and all that stuff to them.
I've done that before. Whenever we play Magic on Tuesday nights, there was this one time I lost. I didn't have a good night, but the last game of the night was me and another guy because everybody else had already finished up. And the last play of the last game was like really good. Like I swung for like 35 damage. And in comparison in Magic, your life total is only 20. So I swung for 35 unblockable damage. And it was like, even though I really lost the tournament, it was like, because I won that match and everybody was watching, I may as well have just won, you know? Yeah, I threw my cards down the table. I was like, what that smell like, you know?
And then walk out of the room. But it was, I mean, like, the worst part was it was freezing cold.
Yeah, you guys are playing in the rain.
Yesterday it was sunny and hot. Today it was freezing cold and raining. And like, I mean, I had to change clothes twice. It was 2 rounds, so oh my god, it was draining, needless to say.
I've never played frisbee golf. You should take me out sometime and play frisbee golf. I think I'm more likely to play frisbee golf than regular golf.
Yeah, it's
although I have played cheaper. I've played a few games of regular golf, but I've never played frisbee golf. So maybe that's not a true statement. Apparently, I'm more likely to play regular golf.
There you go. It's definitely cheaper. A lot cheaper than a disc to buy than clubs.
I would be more likely to play frisbee golf regularly than to play golf twice in my life.
Exactly.
So we got to do 2 episodes. We got to wrap it up quickly because the show starts at 9 and it is currently 7:30. We got plenty of time. No rush. It's just, sorry, John, I might not be going to your house and watching the show. I might be watching it here. So we didn't do an episode for Steel.
Right, and we had talked about how we were like, there's nothing really happened. And then we talked about it afterwards, and you're like, actually some stuff did happen.
Yeah, like the whole week after watching Steel, I kind of felt like that was our first filler episode for season 4.
Right.
I really kind of felt like the whole thing was just filler. There wasn't a whole lot there. And so when it came down to Sunday, I actually had a lot going on. You had some stuff going on, and I was kind of like, what are we going to do? Go in there and just say, yeah, we had a filler episode? Let's talk about Breaking Bad for an hour. So I was like, let's just skip this week. We'll get to that together next week. Well, a week passed, and I watched. No, I'm sorry. A week passed before, because we do the shows on Sunday. So that night when I was watching still before the airing of Alone, so before the episode Alone came out, they showed the rerun, and I actually caught a lot of stuff, and I wished we'd have done an episode. It is a filler episode, but there's actually a lot of stuff about Daryl's character, especially, that's revealed in this episode. Right. And so I thought we'd touch on it, and then we'll do more detail on Alone. But before we even start any of this, both Steel and Alone, we haven't seen Rick.
No.
Who's the main character of the show.
Is he?
What do you think about that?
I mean, is he?
I mean, he's who started the show.
Well, I mean, I would say he's still the main character, but you kind of know now. They kind of, I won't say they finished his story right for now, but they kind of did finish. I mean, they were getting away from those people and from that house.
Yeah,
so
unless
not
something,
much, and they're going to Terminus.
Yeah.
So there's not much else. They're probably walking down those railroad tracks somewhere.
Yeah.
So now they got to get everybody else on the railroad tracks, and I guess it's going to take 2 episodes because you have more than just Daryl and Beth, because in Alone you have everybody else come into it too. So, and
surely tonight's episode will have some Rick in it, I'm thinking.
Well, you got, what is there? There's tonight, next week,
2 more,
and then so
and
3
then
more.
Finale, yeah.
So I mean, you figure Rick will come back in. They have been. Now, with Steel, it was just Daryl and Beth.
It was just Daryl and Beth, yeah.
Now, Alone factored in more, and I was actually surprised to see Daryl and them. Weren't they in?
They were, yeah. They flashed back to them because they went to the mortuary place.
Right.
Yeah, I was actually surprised, too. I thought they were going to maybe flash to... I thought maybe Alone was going to include Sasha, Stookie, and Maggie, of course. But then the second storyline would be like maybe
Tyrese
and Carol, because we haven't seen that yet, and that they could do so much with that story.
Which will be tonight, I'm sure.
That'll probably be tonight. They can't push that off anymore.
But they did put Daryl and Beth back-to-back weeks. So
yeah. Hey. Oh God, we gotta. The mics actually might not be picking that up. I just closed that window.
Hello.
Oh, cool. Okay. So, Steel, like we just said, the episode is totally Daryl and Beth. It was kind of a filler episode. It kind of reminded me of the episode in Breaking Bad where Walter White's trying to kill that fly through the whole episode. Yeah. Only it's not quite as bad as that. Because I think that entire episode, you didn't see anything about any character. It was literally...
them two.
Just him and the fly. Yeah. Right. This episode, like I said, after thinking about it, I actually saw a lot into both characters. The whole premise of the episode, basically, is that Beth is wanting to get her first drink.
She's come of age.
She has come of age.
What now?
They've never said how old she is.
I'm going to guess that she's probably supposed to be 17, 18.
I'm thinking 18, 19.
You think 18, 19?
18 or 19, yeah. Too young to be dating Daryl, I think, but maybe legally,
and obviously not in a house at the Herschel farm where she was going to be drinking and probably doing all kinds of stuff. So she's probably never. And Herschel was an alcoholic.
Yeah, so he was probably really protective over that, especially.
Yeah, so now that Herschel's been chopped up,
yeah,
it's her turn. She wants to see what it was all about. And now it's the zombie apocalypse. And there's not really, you can't go to the bar anymore and go drinking. So,
what a bad time to try to start drinking.
Right. Yeah,
but
or a good time if you're an alcoholic.
Yeah. But Daryl's apprehensive about this.
Right.
Which we don't exactly know why. Now, it reminds me of whenever Daryl confronts Stookie at the veterinarian school.
Right. Yeah, it does.
About carrying alcohol, which in that moment it was more of a, you're really going to risk everybody's life over this,
But maybe there's more to it.
And yeah, but this episode kind of after seeing the entire episode, at this point in the show, whenever it's just Beth and Daryl at the campsite, I didn't think of this, but after watching the entire episode, I kind of feel like maybe Daryl realizes that he's kind of an asshole whenever he drinks, and maybe that was something that also he did kind of when he was with Merle, and he's gotten away from that. He's gotten away from Merle and that type of person, and I don't know. Maybe in the scene where Stookie and Daryl, that confrontation on the rooftop, maybe there was more to that.
Right. Well, I also think that it might have flashed back to like his childhood and stuff like that, being, I'm sure, his father, mother, or if there was, whoever.
Yeah.
There's probably alcohol and stuff like that. So, there's probably playing off that too. He's obviously apprehensive also because do you really want to be drunk when there's a bunch of zombies?
Yeah.
Trying to get you.
He is like really focused on survival right now.
Right.
Basically, they haven't found anywhere.
Oh, and we didn't even say, like, at the beginning where they get in the trunk of the car.
In the trunk of the car,
and all the things are going by and you can hear them. That was a pretty good scene. I like that.
I didn't get to see the whole thing because I don't know if it was just Charter. I don't know if you had a different cable provider, it was okay. But with us, the whole thing blacked out. Like, it was like, I saw him get in the trunk. I saw him in the trunk for a second. And then that whole sequence cut out until almost the intro music, and then it came back.
Yeah, it was like they were in there. He was holding like this thing, holding the trunk shut, but just enough. Like there was air, and like all these zombies were coming past and like brushing up against the car, and they could hear it.
I didn't see any of that. I knew it was going on,
right?
Because we had the sound, but the video, it was just like black pixelation.
Yeah, it was definitely part of it. There was something there. Damn you!
Yeah, no, screw you, Charter. They're gonna cut the podcast feed off now. We're cut off. Yeah. So they've been focused on survival for a while. So maybe that's part of it too. Is Daryl's kind of like, we got to stay alive.
Right.
Why do I care if your drinking doesn't affect whether we stay alive another day or not?
It's going to actually hinder us staying alive.
Yeah,
so.
and Beth is more of the type of person where, well, if I don't get to experience something, if we're just surviving campfire to campfire,
I may never experience it.
And I think, like, she'd just rather be dead. Like, I don't think she wants to live that way, I
don't think it's necessarily that she wants to get drunk. Well, and I mean, I think she does, but I don't think it's... I think she also wants to experience...
She wants to do something
normal
other.
for a minute, too. So...
Oh, yeah.
And that's, what teenage girl, what she would be doing now that she's free, she wants to get crazy for a minute.
And she kind of thinks of Daryl as kind of the opposite of her dad. Like, Daryl's...
I think it's her big brother that, like, looks out for you, but also, like, lets you get in trouble kind of guy.
Yeah. I used to get high with my older cousin.
Yeah,
That's
exactly.
the same way, yeah. I hope my mom's not listening. She probably to this day doesn't know that.
You did not hear that.
Allegedly. So they do this whole Daryl Beth relationship throughout this episode.
Right.
And it gets brought up again in the I put that they held hands at one point.
I was going to say, did you put the held hands?
That was
I just looked there and saw it.
That was for Alone, though. That didn't happen in this episode.
Oh, did it not?
Yeah, I thought it did. I thought it did until I was making the show notes for Alone, and I realized that scene is not in Still, it's in Alone.
Okay. Well, they hold hands. So,
yeah.
I mean, that...
And they also, on the Talking Dead TV show now, Maggie... or the actress Lauren Cohen, whatever her name is.
Yeah.
She describes it as a friendship. And the question that the fan asked was specifically about, romantic relationship. And Maggie kind of dodged it and called it a friendship. So, I mean, now that may be just because they haven't revealed anything on the show yet. So, I mean, maybe she doesn't want to be the one to put it out there. That's pretty likely that's all it is. But at the same time, maybe we're reading more into it than...
Well, I mean, you got to figure, again, going back to the drinking thing, she's a teenage girl.
Yeah.
And, I mean, Daryl is a bad boy. He's kind of, he's rough. He can freaking kill zombies like nobody's business. And
does that turn you on, David?
Yeah. Hey, baby. But, I mean... Do you expect her not to get some kind of crush on him? Yeah. I mean, maybe it is a friendship, but that doesn't mean there can't be a crush.
Yeah.
And I think there may be a little bit more to it. I mean, it's pretty slim pickings in the apocalypse now.
That's true.
I mean, there's Carl and Daryl, and Carl's not around.
They did the whole Carl thing for a while in season
she kind of
3.
blew him off, so...
Yeah, well, she didn't. Carl wanted her to.
Yeah, well, yeah.
They I don't know, they did the Carl thing for a while, and I think none of the audience picked up on it.
And, they also did the whole her kissing Rick thing.
She kissed Rick. When was that?
Remember, she runs up to him, is in the prison, and she gives Rick a kiss on the lips, but it was I think it was on I can't remember his lips or cheek now. But she, everyone.
I don't know.
It was like, oh.
Yeah. Now, I mean, they've been passing Beth around trying to pick who she's gonna.
Yeah.
Who she's gonna get with.
Who will take her?
I think Daryl's a little weird, but not as weird as Rick. Rick would be really weird because not only is he way older, but he was married. His wife died. Just the whole thing.
He was good friends with Herschel, so it could be like a father figure type thing.
Yeah, father figure kind of thing.
Spanker kind of thing.
So they, I don't remember the exact order of everything, but they approach a golf club at some point.
Yeah, well, she decides where else would you find alcohol.
That'd be a good place to look.
That was a good place to look.
Now Daryl takes money while he's in the golf resort. And I thought this was odd because Daryl's obviously smart enough to know that money's useless now.
Right.
And this was actually, when I was rewatching the episode, this was the first thing that struck me that I wish I'd have talked about on the show, was the fact that Daryl took money. He threw darts at the pictures on the wall.
Right.
And he just seemed disrespectful towards the whole place.
Right. The country club.
Yeah. And, and I feel like Daryl knows this money's useless, but I think he hated this type of person so much. Yeah, I think he wanted to take what they had. I think he just had no remorse for these people. Was glad they were probably dead.
Yeah, I'm sure he was.
And yeah, I just feel like there was more. Like he wasn't just taking the money. He's not going to spend the money anywhere. Maybe if he runs into somebody that thinks the money's valuable,
right, then
he could use it as a bargaining tool.
Right.
But I think he was taking what these people had. I think he didn't like these people in the normal world. Let's see.
She finds the peach schnapps.
Yeah.
One other thing too, I think it was right before this, is they're in the clubhouse or whatever, or the golf shop.
Yeah.
And Beth puts on
that jacket.
She puts on this new clothes, this new outfit,
I forgot about that.
New sweater and all that stuff. And then they go and they find the peach schnapps, and then, or does the zombies attack before they do the peach schnapps thing? Or is that after?
No, that's after.
But yeah, so anyway, there's the zombie attack.
Or maybe it's before. It must be before.
It must be before. Yeah, it is before.
Yeah.
Because as soon as she comes out with those new clothes on, the zombies come in, and Daryl grabs the golf club.
Yeah, and gets blood on it.
Swings and hits her, and all of a sudden she's covered in gore. And it's you can't have anything good in this world, and nothing's...
Well, not only that, but we were just talking about how Daryl hated these people, and here...
He beat the crap out of that zombie.
Here she is. Beth is trying to be like these people. She's taking their clothes and wearing them. She's shopping, basically.
Yeah, oh, definitely.
And Beth is she wants to see the good in everybody, and she didn't want that body that was kind of on the mannequin, and someone had said something about she was a rich bitch or something like that. She didn't like that body was defaced, so she wanted to cover it up, and Daryl's like, whatever. So, I mean, while, yes, Beth is kind of well, she sees the good in everybody, it's not necessarily that Daryl sees the bad in everybody.
I don't think.
He just didn't like this type of person.
Right.
And I think that she, at least in this scene...
They probably looked down on him when he was young.
Yeah. And I think Daryl kind of sees her as being a part of that crowd. Even though she probably wasn't. She's a farmer's daughter. She's way more of a yuppie than Daryl.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Well, Daryl, we talk about when they go to the trailer later, and it's almost a eye into his life as a child.
I didn't even think about that. So
then maybe the golf course was a job he had, the golf kid that rides around on the mower picking up the golf balls at the driving range and all the.
I don't think Daryl would have that job.
No, I don't think so either. But something like that, like something like when he was younger triggered something with country club type people.
Well, what I mean is, so we saw a little bit of Beth, I think, in the country club in the same way that we see a little bit of Daryl in the trailer.
Right.
I think that some of the country club represents Beth's past, and Daryl hates that in the same way that the trailer represents a little bit of Daryl's past, and Beth is not comfortable there.
Right.
Wow, good shit. I didn't even think about that.
There you go. But so they do go to a trailer.
Yep, they go to the trailer.
He says, your first drink. They after all of the gore, she finds like this busted bottle of peach schnapps, and he's just like, like screw it. Your first drink can't be this.
Yeah.
And so I thought, well, they're gonna go find an ABC store,
right? Yeah,
like that.
Then get some Jägermeister.
But like he goes to this place, he knows exactly where moonshine has been stored.
He said he made a little comment in the episode that him and Michonne had found it earlier.
Right.
And maybe there was nothing there worth taking. Like they didn't see the value in moonshine. Although honestly, I would think that you would take at least a little bit of moonshine back to
fuel, like not for cars necessarily, but to build fires and things like that. You can
burn things with it. It probably has a certain amount of
clean wounds and
right,
things like that,
yeah. And maybe they did. Maybe they took a jar or two.
Right.
And they left the rest there. They always knew where it was to go back and get it.
But again, like what I was saying earlier about not wanting to get drunk in the zombie apocalypse because of getting drunk.
Yeah.
Getting drunk on moonshine is like way up there as far as how to get drunk. I mean, he took it to the next level. So, and they were putting back those jars.
Yeah.
I mean, I was like, man, they're going to get drunk as crap and something's going to happen and they're not going to be able to get away or something like that. I thought that, actually, there wasn't really a thing about them being drunk. So,
nah, they played the game at the beginning.
Right.
Which was, what is the game that they played? It's a drinking game where you say something you've done. And if the person's never done it, they drink.
They drink. Or if they've done it,
they drink. You say something you've never done, and if they've done it,
they drink.
They drink. Oh, okay, that's the way it works. Yeah. And Beth is asking him.
A bunch of alcoholics here.
And Beth is asking him questions like, "Have you ever been to jail?"
Right.
Stuff like that. And he kind of takes offense to it a little bit, which I think I would have been a little bit too, honestly.
You could tell like that was her way. I'm going to find out what I can about this guy.
And it's kind of nice that this is coming out towards the end of the season,
right?
Because the very first episode of this season was Beth's boyfriend asking Daryl questions, trying to find out what he did before everything.
I was a detective,
and so this season hasn't been like a reoccurring thing. Although I kind of thought it would be. I kind of thought like every time they go on a run, this kid's gonna ask Daryl what he was.
Right.
But he ended up dying in that first episode.
The one thing though about that is that before that boyfriend died, but apparently like they had mentioned something about, I think it was Daryl had mentioned something in a previous episode about Beth, you've lost this guy and you've lost this guy. So she's lost a few people, like boyfriend type people.
Yeah, he makes a comment like all of your boyfriends have died. I think that's when he gets drunk in this episode.
And Daryl has been the one guy that hasn't died. So he's been the consistent one in her like life, other than her, her dad, and now he's
finally
dead.
Died. Yeah,
and Rick's gone, so now it is them too. So I mean, I can see like the friendship thing again, and I can see she's bonded with him quite well.
I kind of hope that they leave that whole thing open for interpretation.
Yeah.
I don't necessarily want I think Beth will die soon.
I do too. And
because of this.
What we talked about.
Oh, yeah. I think I don't want to see her die, but I think that they're building up to that because I think that the Daryl Beth thing is a little controversial because some people are okay with it. Some people think that Daryl's a little too old.
But we don't know how old he's supposed to be either.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know how old they are. So I mean, that's null kind of.
I mean, I would say he's probably in his late 20s or 30s, somewhere in there.
If he's that young,
I don't see. I mean, obviously, again, you have to take into account the zombie apocalypse. And, you're not just going to go find someone your own age.
I mean, if they did stay together, I'd be okay with that. But I just kind of hope they leave it open because there's also a lot of fans that don't want to. They want to see Daryl single.
Oh yeah, yeah.
And so, I mean, I don't know. However it turns out, I'm okay with it. But I feel like just a show like this that has producers that are worried about how much money this makes, they're worried about how many 16-year-old girls watch this show. I think that Beth will die because they want him.
Right. And then like you said, Daryl took offense. He got a little bit, like he turned into a dick. But I mean, he kind of had some choice words to say back to her. Yeah. And
which he was just kind of like being belligerent, and then it ended on the note of, well, maybe if I don't even remember what he said, but maybe if I had yada yada yada, then Herschel may still be alive, or he's kind of taking the blame for what happened to the prison,
right?
Which I mean, I don't think that he had.
No.
It happened the way it happened. There's nothing Daryl could have done.
I think he blames himself, sort of like Michonne blames herself for the governor not being dead. Yeah. Essentially.
Well, Michonne may. I mean, I'm not saying it's Michonne's fault, but Michonne probably has more blame than Daryl even.
Right. She was obviously going out and, horseback and all that stuff. So, I mean, I don't know how involved he was, but they didn't really mention his involvement. But, yeah. But yeah, I mean, so they kind of kiss and make up, but not literally.
Not literally.
And, they're sitting out on that, porch and everything. And I thought, when she says,
you'll be the
last one to live. I was like, oh gosh, that just means like something's going to reach up and grab him and pull him in. That would have been good. That would have been crazy. But, he was,
I thought it might happen. I thought it might happen for a second.
But the kind of not really reveal, but like out of all this, you just find out that Daryl was just
Merle's guy.
He was just some dude. Yeah. It wasn't anything special. I mean, obviously he probably had a hard life, but I mean, he was just a guy. He wasn't like, he wasn't a detective. He wasn't whatever. He was,
I find that more believable than if he had.
He was Daryl. I mean, he was Merle's brother, and probably just hang out in the shadow of Merle.
Yeah, exactly. He was just kind of Merle's right-hand man. I don't think he had much in the way of parents. I think, honestly, Merle's what he had.
Right.
And Merle's not a very good example. So, I mean, I think that in the zombie apocalypse and the relationships that he's built after it, if he could have built that relationship before everything happened, he'd probably be the same person he is now. It's just the only relationship he had then was Merle, and he's kind of timid around.
And he's the first time it's been Daryl. It hasn't been Merle and Daryl, or just Merle.
Yeah.
It's been, Daryl. Daryl's been a member of the council. He's been, saving people. He's been doing all this stuff.
Yeah.
And
outside of Merle's shadow, he's just so much more of a person.
Right.
And it's funny just talking about the acting on the show, and I think we mentioned this back in season 3 whenever they were finally on screen for this, for the first time, but Merle represents such a huge part of Daryl's character, and the fact that they were never even on screen together, except for in a dream sequence in season 2 and in the mid-season finale of season 3.
Right.
And by the time they did that mid-season finale, it was already so well established that they were brothers, and that Merle impacted his life and was kind of abusive in this way, but they never showed us any of that. They never showed us any of that. That always amazes me when I think about that.
Right.
And I think that the whole thing, I think that this is important. What happened in this episode, which we would have known this if we had done the recap on Still before watching Alone, this wouldn't have meant so much. The fact that Daryl was just some guy that was living in Merle's shadow comes really into play whenever you see the conclusion of Alone.
Right.
Because I kind of wonder how Daryl's going to react to this new group of people, which is essentially like a group of Merles in my mind.
Yeah, that's what I see too.
You know, and I wonder what his reaction is going to be there. Is he going to kind of play just be some guy? Is he going to play the back seat like he did with Merle?
I think so.
You know, or is finding Beth enough motivation to bring him out? You know,
right.
I don't know, but let's see. It ends up they burn down the trailer, which obviously this represented, Daryl kind of leaving that baggage behind a little bit. Right. And maybe that's important.
And her too.
Yeah, well, they didn't burn down the country club. You know what I mean? They should have burnt down the country club and then burned down the trailer. They've just been some arsonists for this whole episode. And then last week's episode Alone, I really enjoyed.
It was a very good episode.
And I didn't feel like it was a filler, and I heard a lot of people saying that.
See, I didn't think it was a filler either.
I didn't either. I thought it was really good.
Well, you can't say every episode is a filler episode because
every episode is not a season finale.
Right. Every episode. I mean, you have to have story development, and even if you say Still was a filler, it's still. I mean, it developed. We just talked about how much it developed the character of Beth and Daryl.
I didn't expect to talk about it for 30 minutes.
Right, exactly.
I'm really shocked. Yeah, I agree. I think that Still was a really good episode. And at first glance, it's a filler episode because it seems like the whole episode is just about Daryl helping Beth get her first drink. But then you find out so much about both characters.
Them. Yeah. And again, if we're going on the theory that the season finale is going to be where all these groups finally come together at Terminus, then you have to have episodes that build up to that. You have to know what all these people are doing. And even if I guess you would call Still a filler because
it didn't show you the other groups.
It didn't show you, well, it didn't even show you, like, other than them trying to get alcohol, there was no, like, all the other episodes have been, like, the groups have been on a mission, like, to do something as far as getting somewhere or finding Glenn or finding Maggie or doing, this was just like.
I think I know why people might think that some of these episodes are fillers. So in comparison to season 1, where every episode was almost a bottle storyline, like you had the storyline where they run into the Hispanic drug people, and then it turns out they're taking care of old people. That's kind of a storyline where if you just kind of picked it up and watched that episode, you'd get a full beginning, middle, and end in that one episode. Right. Scott Gimple's version of telling a story, which is more my style, is if you just watched the episode alone and you didn't watch anything else, you wouldn't know what the hell is going on.
Yeah,
you know?
You need a continuing story kind of thing,
But I think that's why maybe some of the Walking Dead fans kind of consider these episodes a little more.
And again, there's still, there was zombie killing in that, but I still think some aspects of the Walking Dead community,
they just want the gore.
They want the gore.
Yeah.
I
think a lot of those people are weeded out, though. I think at this point, if you're watching season 4, you're a fan of this. You know what's going on.
I do too.
Yeah, but Alone.
So.
Oh, the opening was so good.
Yeah. That was surprising. I was.
Did you think? So it opens with Stookie, running through the woods alone. He's surviving alone. He builds a little hut. He's drinking. I noticed that he's drinking Robitussin.
Robitussin, yeah.
So he's trying to get drunk on Robitussin, which just makes you really sick. And
were you sure if it was present or past?
That's what I was going to ask you. Is what did you think?
I kind of thought it was the past, but
at first I thought it was present.
The only reason I thought that it was different because there was something about the way he looked that was a little different.
Oh, I didn't notice anything like that. Well, he probably didn't have the bandage on.
Maybe.
He probably didn't have that on. But I didn't even notice that. I didn't even think about that.
Because that's what I thought. I was like, there was something about it. I was like, there's something different. And I can't remember what exactly it was. But, I wasn't 100% sure by any means.
I didn't guess it until when he's laying on top of the on the truck in the beginning.
Yeah.
Even before they showed the motorcycle or anything of that pull up, I was telling Becca, I was like, I bet this is before he runs into the group. And what I thought might happen is they were, because we've always said we think there's something up with
Spook.
he's a mole.
Be the governor showing up. Or
yeah,
something?
I thought the governor was going to walk up and be like, "So, did you get my information?" or something like that. You know what I mean?
Right.
But then whenever the motorcycle pulled up, I said, "Oh, this is whenever they pick him up." And maybe we've given Stooky a bad rap. Maybe he's not that bad of a guy.
I think we have.
I think we've given him shit for nothing.
We got to come up with something other than spooky then.
I don't know.
No, but yeah, I mean, so you find out he's been on the run by himself essentially for you don't know how long, but it's been a long time.
It's been a while.
Because he even says, you could tell even at that point when Daryl and Glenn pull up, like he didn't like duck for cover, or I mean, he just kind of stood there like
Yeah.
He was either thinking finally someone's here or finally someone's just going to put me out of my misery kind of thing.
Either way, I don't care. It's
right.
No more of this.
No more of this.
Yeah, and I gotta tell you, I wouldn't want to be at it alone either. I mean, I think that would be the worst way to be.
Right.
But they ask him the 3 questions.
Right.
And the 3 questions: how many walkers have you killed? How many people have you killed? And why?
Why?
And his answers were dozens, 1, and because she asked me to.
Right.
Or because she asked for it. He might have said because she asked me to. There's kind of a difference there.
Well,
that bitch was asking for it.
Yeah, I was going to say, if she was asking for it, if she asked for it.
Yeah.
Yeah, the bitch was asking for it.
No, I think he meant like she literally asked him.
Yeah.
Asked him to.
She wouldn't stop snoring at night.
Now we don't know the story though yet. We don't know what happened here. She was asked. She asked.
I would imagine it was like because he said, and I think he said it previous to before this, that he's been the member of several groups. And he's wound up being the lone survivor out of those groups.
Said out of 2 groups, it's went. He said something like it's went south or something like that.
And so I would imagine this would have been something like where he was with a group, and it was one of those packs like, if it comes to it, you're gonna do this, and it was probably they got weeded out, and it came down to him and her, and he had to do it.
Have you seen the beginning of the movie 28 Days Later?
Yeah.
Where I can't remember the characters' names, but the girl's got the machete and they're killing zombies, and someone gets, like, her partner gets bit, and then she just turns and without hesitation just kills her right away. It could have been something like that.
Yeah, exactly.
They had a pact beforehand, like, if I get bit, just kill me right away.
Just kill me. Yeah.
That's the pact me and my wife have. We've said, like, if one of us gets bit, just kill me right away.
And then fall on your own sword or keep going.
Keep going. Keep going.
Oh, there you go. But so then you find out that's kind of how, he got into the group, and that he was definitely not a mole in any way, shape, or form.
He still might be a mole man.
I mean, he could be, but...
He could literally just be a mole man.
That he could.
No, I don't know if he is. I think the only reason why we think that is because apparently in the comic, he was a little bit more of a shady
Well, I thought
character.
he was in the comic, he was like town drunk kind of.
But he was really like spying for the governor or something like that. Yeah, and I just don't think that they're going with that storyline at all.
Right. I think it's just they're using the name.
Yeah, so I mean, so maybe he's not even the same person.
Now the whole opening sequence with Stooky, Maggie, and Sasha was very cool too.
Yeah, with the fog.
And they couldn't see anything, and you could hear the zombies all around them.
That was cool.
And they're all kind of back to back. And
it's kind of odd to me they haven't done this yet either, because I don't know if they do this everywhere in the country, but we actually have really dense fogs like that sometimes.
We do.
And I'm really surprised they haven't done this scenario yet.
Well, and it's this takes place in our neck of the woods, so with
that's
all
what
the
I mean.
lakes and things like that, there's a lot of fog. So they're obviously freaked out and just waiting. And then of course one comes, and then they all start coming, and then it's just like a free for all kind of thing.
There's even one point where Bob gets bit in the shoulder, but it was like just his bandage or something.
Yeah, he had a wrap on it, so he didn't actually get bit, which was, when he got bit though, I was like,
there it goes.
And then I thought, I was like, are they going to hack his arm off at the shoulder?
Like at the shoulder.
Because that would be pretty devastating.
Yeah.
To say the least. So they make it through that, after some crazy fighting and all that stuff. And Maggie, is still determined that she's going to find Glenn. I mean, that is, there's no question. And Stookie is very adamant about finding Glenn too.
Well, I think Stookie is adamant
about staying in a group.
Yeah. And I think that Glenn is important to Stookie, but,
I think it's the I think community more.
Yeah, I think he wants the three of them to stick together, and
he doesn't want to be alone.
Yeah, but not just that, but he doesn't want Maggie to be alone. He doesn't want.
No, he doesn't want anybody to be alone. Yeah, well, which is weird too, because with the whole Sasha thing, we'll get to that in a minute. But yeah, I mean, so essentially they get back to like trying to decide what they're going to do. Yeah. Sasha comes up with the idea that they find like the first populated not populated, but like a former town city, find a tall building of some sort.
Somewhere where you could survive.
Because, zombies aren't going to be walking up steps.
Yeah. And then they'll meet people as they, go along. And yeah, I mean, Sasha kind of wants to just kind of like, nest.
Wow. And the other thing with Sasha is she absolutely believes that Glenn is dead and that Tyrese is dead.
Yeah.
So she has nothing to go forward for. So she wants to, she doesn't care about going to look for Tyrese, and she definitely doesn't care about going to look for Glenn.
She wants to start over and maybe mourn her brother.
Right.
And in a way mourn Glenn. I mean, she didn't want to lose a friend.
Right.
And then maybe they'll run into other people, but otherwise they just are going to stay there and meet who they meet as they survive.
Right.
And then I don't know why Bob is so set on going with Maggie.
Because even though at this point, I mean, you can tell that there's something between Stookie and Sasha, but obviously the thing happens later, which again we'll talk to about. But I mean, at this point,
this whole situation.
But at first you could tell like he's kind of torn, but Maggie is like, there's no question. She's like, I'm going to do this. So anyway, they camp out, and
Maggie kind of ditches them.
Maggie ditches them in the middle of the night. And they wake up, and Maggie's gone, and she leaves a note or whatever.
Yeah.
And saying, go on without me, whatever.
Yeah. She basically doesn't feel like they should risk their lives
for her and Glenn.
Yeah, because, I mean, maybe she realizes to the outsider looking in that there's no reason to believe that Glenn's alive. And even if he is alive, how are we going to find him?
And Sasha and Stookie have that conversation that night. And while Maggie's supposedly asleep,
she overhears it.
And Sasha says, that's when she point blank says, Glenn is dead, Tyrese is dead, there's no point. And they don't know that Maggie hears this, but that's, I guess, when she decides that, she doesn't believe that, so she's going to go on. I don't think she really cares about Tyrese. I don't think she cares about Tyrese, but her main
is Glenn. But now she's saying that she knows he's alive, and I think she hopes he's alive. And I think that her father has taught her to build off of that hope. I think that her father's always taught her to have faith in that. But at the same time, I also think that she understands that there's a possibility that he's dead.
Oh yeah,
but she has to know, and I think I would have to know.
Right.
I don't think there's no way I would have to know. Yeah. Even if I found Glenn, or I don't know which role I am, but if I found Glenn dead. Right. I would have to know whether he's dead or alive.
I think so too. And they wake up the next day and she's gone, and Sasha's all of a sudden like, okay, well there's that sucks that she left, but now we can go find this building and do this. And Stookie's like, no, we need to go after her.
Yeah.
we can walk and catch up with her within like a day, and we need to help her. And I think Sasha's just like, what? She made her choice, kind of thing. I don't think she wants to necessarily ditch her, but again, I think she says that's her choice. She made it. We need to do
what we're going to do.
And but Stokey's very adamant, so they go and start following her.
Well, yeah, and the choice comes up again. So I mean, in between here and there, that we just have where along the way, Maggie's been writing signs, for Glenn to go to Terminus.
Well, not yet. That's when she's by herself.
Right. Yeah. That's what I mean.
Oh, okay.
Because she already left in the middle of the night, right?
Yeah. She finds that zombie and guts it, and then writes the sign saying, "Glenn, go to Terminus," kind of thing.
Yeah, and the confrontation comes up again because Sasha sees the building that is basically like what she wants. This is the safe place that she's been looking for, and Bob wants to continue on to find Maggie, and then that's whenever the confrontation comes up again about whether they should help Maggie find Glenn or stay here.
Again, she made her choice.
Yeah,
kind of thing.
And this is where it gets weird. So Bob wants to help Maggie because he doesn't want Maggie to be alone, and I understand that. We had the prerequisite to this. They showed how how he was when he was alone and how he hated it so much, and then now they're showing Maggie trying to find Glenn, and I understand Bob's motivation for that, but isn't he leaving Sasha alone? To
be alone. That's what I was thinking too. I was like, so you got either alone here or alone here.
Yeah.
What's the difference?
He's either going to go with Maggie and leave Sasha alone, or he's going to go with Sasha and leave Maggie alone.
But I also think that he took into account the reasons. So with Maggie, it's hope. It's all that. Yeah. With Sasha, it's like almost we're defeated. Let's just stay here, kind of thing.
I never thought about it that way.
And because he wants her to come, he wants her to believe, he wants her. You don't, because he says, you don't know if Tyrese is dead.
Yeah,
we've got to go. And
so maybe it's not that. Maybe it's not that Bob's motivation is that he doesn't want to be alone, but that he doesn't want to be without hope.
Right, or both. I mean, I don't think he wants to be alone.
Yeah, I know, but I think that the worst part of being alone is that
you lose hope.
Yeah, because I either sleep here by the campfire, zombie walks up and eats me, and no one ever knows about it, or I don't.
Right. Or I freeze.
And there's nothing for me to work towards.
I lay on top of a truck and freeze to death at night because I can't build a fire because there's no one to help me look out and stuff like that.
So. Yeah, so I mean, almost being alone, you have no hope. And so, I mean, even... I don't know. That's just such a weird situation because my whole thought on it was at first I was like, well, Sasha made the choice to be by herself. And so that's why Bob would go with Maggie. But Maggie made the choice to be by herself. So they're identical in that way.
Right.
Sasha and Maggie.
Right.
But Bob still chooses Maggie. And it, I mean,
again, I think it is. I think it's kind of, I think it's the hope thing. I think that's why he's talking to her. And, he kisses Sasha as like this last attempt to give her hope. Like, hey, if you come with me, who
knows where this could go?
Where this could go? He goes, obviously there's feelings and, a friendship again, that's developing. And he's like, come on, let's do this. And I thought at that point, I wasn't sure which way she was going to go. But she chooses
to stay,
and she goes to that building,
and Bob really does
go. And maybe she was testing him, but you never know.
I think they were both kind of bluffing calling each other's bluff, and then it didn't work out for either one of them.
It didn't work out for either one of them. Well, I guess sort of for Sasha. Well, I guess for all of them at the end.
Well, I think Sasha wanted Bob to stay.
Yeah, I think she did too.
And I think she thought that if she stayed, he would really stay. And I think that Bob thought that if he left, she would really leave.
Yeah, I think so too. But no, she goes to this building. She goes up on, whatever floor, and she's checking out the place, see how
as soon as she gets up there, she's immediately sad. Like, you can see it.
Yeah, you can.
Like, is this really what I wanted?
Yeah, some barren, desolate building.
She's almost in this. She's on her way to being what Bob was at the beginning of the episode.
She was like, the one thing I thought too in this thing was like, she just sees this one building, and she's like, that's it.
Yeah.
You don't know, like, what's around this building. Like, is there somewhere to get supplies somewhere near? I mean, there's a lot of crap that goes into choosing.
It seems like you'd want to go to Terminus if you're wanting to start over.
Right. And like I was saying, if this is the place you're going to choose to try and survive the zombie apocalypse, don't you think you would want to check out your surroundings at least once before you just say, hey, this is it?
This is it. Yeah.
So I think she was determined, this is it.
Yeah.
But anyway, so she's up there and she looks out of a window and she sees, I didn't know what she was looking at first.
I didn't either. I didn't catch that it was Maggie.
I didn't catch it either, but there's like a ice cream truck or something down there, and Maggie's like, I guess, sleeping
in between two zombies. Well,
between two zombies.
I heard that on The Talking Dead, she was saying that this scene was different originally, but they cut it down to just that. Originally, she was writing a sign, one of the Glenn go to Terminus signs,
right?
And the zombie that she had cut open to get the blood to write with, a herd of zombies, or maybe just one zombie or a few zombies, came up, and she had to roll that zombie on top of her to hide from them, and all of the guts and stuff, fell out on her. And that was how she hid from the zombies until Sasha, screwed the whole thing up. But they ended up not having time to do the whole scene, and so they just had her lay down and get up.
Right.
So I'm thinking we're supposed to believe that maybe she was sleeping between two zombies, so she would seem like a zombie.
Right. And I guess when you are alone, that you got to do things like that to rest. So anyway, Sasha sees her, and she immediately goes running down there to help.
Well, she knocks that window out.
Oh, yeah, that's right. She knocks the window out and attracts all the zombies. It's like, uh-oh. And then Maggie gets up, and then it's like, fight.
Yeah, battle royale with the zombies, which was a cool fight scene.
Yeah, I think so, too. And now, I wasn't sure what was going to happen, like now Stooky's gone, and the reason Stooky's gone is to find Maggie, and Maggie's there with Sasha, and now Stooky's gone, and I'm like, oh crap, now we gotta get a whole new episode with trying to find Stooky now. But it winds up that, they fight off the zombies, and then they kind of have a girly moment, and obviously Maggie talks Sasha into coming with her, and they wound up catching up with Stooky on the tracks.
Yeah, which I like that scene because Maggie says, I can't remember word for word, but Maggie says something to the effect of, I realize that I can ask you to risk your life to help me find. And I don't exactly know what that means, but it kind of reminds me of what Herschel said whenever he says, you take a drink of water, you risk your life.
Right.
And, Herschel's saying, that whole scene was about, where he's going in with the people that are sick and he could possibly get, and he's saying in this world, if we don't risk our lives for hope,
there's nothing.
Why do we risk our lives for,
Right.
And that statement just reminded me of that statement. And,
right.
I don't know. It's still weird to say though, that your hope, you're going to ask somebody else to risk their life over your hope.
Right.
I don't know. That's a weird scene, but,
well, now we know they're all three together now and going to Terminus.
Yep. They're all going to Terminus now.
And it's unanimous.
And I think that Sasha realized though,
that she needs hope.
Yeah. And I think going back to what Herschel was saying, I think she realizes that just playing it safe is not really living.
No.
And that's kind of the same thing. It's kind of the same theme that was in the last episode with Daryl and Beth.
Which brings us back to Daryl and Beth.
Yep.
Because the other part of the episode had to do with Daryl and Beth, which we thought was going to be Tyrese and Carol, but turned out to be Daryl and Beth.
We hadn't seen Tyrese and Carol in so long. Tonight better be just Tyrese and Carol.
But it kind of starts out with them as far as she's running and...
Well, Daryl's teaching Beth how to track.
How to track and everything.
Yeah, and she's tracking a zombie. And then she steps on a bear trap, which seemed really kind of like out of nowhere.
Weird. Yeah, I thought that too.
It seemed like an odd placement for a bear trap.
Right.
I don't know where you would put bear traps, but it seemed like if you just put a bear trap out in the middle of a field, you're kind of just like hoping something walks that path.
Right.
You know? I don't know how. I've never trapped a bear.
I've never trapped a bear either.
But I don't think that's the way they do it.
So, I mean, she's hurt, so they got to find somewhere to, render first aid.
Yep.
And they find a funeral home.
This is where they hold hands, by the way. This was the episode of
Right, this is where they hold hands. So they go to this funeral home and, they do their whatever to fix up her leg or ankle or whatever. And they find it, clean.
Yeah, this is a weird funeral home.
They open the pantry doors and it's like someone had just gone to the grocery store shopping. And that's, to me, one of the I won't say problem, but one of the things that kind of was weird about this, because if that's me, that would have thrown up red flags immediately. But they acted like it wasn't a big deal that, they mentioned that it's clean, but it's like, that to me says, hey, somebody's
They mentioned
cleaning.
it was clean a few times.
Right.
Like that it was like really clean.
I'm like, I would be, if I'm them, I would be thinking, okay, someone's getting ready to come home any minute now.
Yeah, I would have too. They just kind of like hang out there.
But they just kind of hang out and eat.
I mean, they do talk about like, well, whenever they come home, maybe we can make it work.
Right.
Maybe we'll meet these people and we can make it work.
I don't know. It was kind of weird. I
think it was a trap.
It was too late. I do too. See,
I think it was a trap. Yeah,
I very much think it is, and it's so laissez-faire attitude.
What types of food did they have?
Right.
It was all fatty foods.
Right.
I think somebody's trying to fatten them up.
Well, and
eat them.
I think it's they're trying to keep people there. Like, wow, this place has food. This place has why would we want to leave? And then obviously we know that what happens with Beth at the end, there's probably like this car that who knows, maybe this isn't the only kind of place that's like this. So they've got this funeral home. They got something else.
Yeah.
They kind of know that now, hey, there's somebody at this house. So now,
totally.
Now we can spring our trap, which they, apparently do. So you've got, they're eating good, and Daryl's sleeping in a coffin and all this stuff. And, they had first, during the day before they had put up the can thing for like noise traps and stuff. So they set up those noise traps, and then the dog comes, they hear the things, and they open the door, and there's a dog there with the one-eyed dog.
What was the interesting story about the one-eyed dog?
That was, the dog belonged to the guy that was,
you sent me an article, but I didn't read it.
I think it was carjacking.
It was a carjacking. That's what it was.
The guy, and the dog, fended off the carjacker, but got, either stabbed or shot in the eye. And, but yeah, so that's pretty cool,
That is cool.
But, they open the door and there's this dog, and they try to, whistle at it, whatever, and it turns around and runs away. Which you don't really, at the time I was like, wow, it was kind of weird, a dog, but hey.
Why would he come up to the door?
Yeah, why?
And then run away.
Right.
It's a scout.
You don't think about it. But then later I was like, it's kind of like the monkey in Raiders of the Lost Ark.
Yeah. I think that's what it is, man.
The insider monkey.
We thought Stookie was a mole. This one-eyed dog is a mole.
The one-eyed dog. Don't trust the one-eyed dog. But so anyway, so later they're eating and doing all this stuff, and then they hear the cans again, And Daryl goes to the door and he's just like, whatever. Which again, that's kind of weird for Daryl.
He just opened the door.
He just opened the door. I mean, who does that in the zombie apocalypse?
Yeah, he was pretty lax.
Yeah,
he was way too lax.
Again, the laissez-faire attitude of these kids nowadays. But so he just throws open the door and like there's 800 zombies outside the door, which is another weird thing. There's
a lot of zombies.
They're not making a sound until he opens the door. They all like hiding in the bushes or something out there. But.
Well, I could see through you could see that it was something taller than a dog was standing there. Yeah. I think that, well, let's get through this and then we can talk about our theory. And then Daryl lures all the zombies to the basement. Now, I think he was giving Beth a chance to get away.
Yeah, well, he says, meet me outside. Get out, meet me outside. And she's like, you can't do this. And he's like, no, get me out. Do it. And, like, he gets all the zombies down to the basement, and you don't know where she goes.
Yeah, and that was a really good scene. He does this weird things with the girders so that he can hurt them and get out.
That was pretty cool. I mean, he killed the shit out of those things. That was a man on a mission.
Yeah, that was a little unbelievable, but we'll take it just because it was Daryl.
It's Daryl.
Daryl could do it.
Right. He's fighting off the zombies. Yeah. He gets away. He runs outside and to where he assumes Beth will be, and he sees something, and a car speeds away.
Yep, it's her bag on the ground. And then a car speeds away.
And it's like a black, like old Lincoln, Buick, something like that, with a cross lit up window. Cross kind of thing in the window. And he immediately takes off running, like chasing it, and he's running, and he runs for a long time, and then I guess the next morning he just comes to a stop, sits down in the middle of the road, and just kind of like gives up, kind of thing.
Yeah,
and
definitely.
you think that's how it's going to end right there, or that's why I was like, okay, well, it's going to end. And then I was like, well, there's a little bit of time left in this show.
Yeah,
and then you see the boots from when Rick was in the house with the little skull things on the toes or whatever it was.
Which you called it. That was the actor that you said was too big to just be in one episode.
Just be one episode.
Just to be eating beans on a porch.
Right.
Yeah.
So Daryl kind of looks up and, it's that dude, and he says something about his crossbow or something like that.
Yeah, he points the crossbow at him, and the guy says, you got to respect a man with a crossbow.
Right.
Which I think is believable. Probably anybody goes for the gun. I think that's the best thing to get. And then somebody with a crossbow, though, you're like, this guy knows how to use his weapon. He's made a smart decision. It's reusable.
Right.
He can tell this guy's a survivor just based on this weapon choice,
And I can't exactly remember what the guy said to set Daryl off.
Well, he says they have this whole, Reservoir Dogs showdown.
Right.
And where nobody's going to survive. Well, actually, I think it'd be pretty one-sided. They'd kill Daryl.
Well,
Daryl would kill one of them.
Still. So what I'm talking about is like when Daryl's still sitting on the ground, and that dude says something. Daryl jumps up, and
I don't remember.
He hits him in the face, and then that's when they have that standoff.
Yeah, I don't remember what he says there, but the guy says, "Don't go getting yourself hurt whenever there's people out there we could hurt," or something like that. I don't remember.
Right, when there's other people we could hurt, or
we
something
could be hurting
like
other
that.
people. Yeah,
and so Daryl's got his crossbow pointed, and he's like, you kill me, you're going to get killed 8 times over or whatever.
Yeah.
And, kind of like, Daryl has the biker kind of look to him.
Yeah.
And obviously he rides a bike, and all that in the show. A Schwinn. And all these guys are kind of all dressed the same, and you see from the
previous
episode, they're all Merles.
Yeah.
And, so at this point, you think, is he choosing? I mean, he obviously chooses he's going to go with these guys, but you don't know what they're doing or anything at this point. But is he making the choice because he's lost hope, or is he making this choice because at the time right then, that's the best choice.
That's the best option. Yeah.
And he's not lost hope. He's still going after Beth, and he's still going to try and find, Rick or, that's the one thing about the whole, Beth and Daryl thing. They haven't really talked about them. They've never really talked about anybody else.
No, yeah, I noticed that too. Now I have a few theories about this scene. This one scene brings up a lot. So like you're saying, is he going to go? Is this the only option? I think so. I think it was either he was going to shoot the one guy in the head, then they'd all kill him. Never found Beth in the story. I think pretty much he had to go with them. Whether he is going to kind of like take a back seat and do whatever they do and hope he gets a chance to get away, it's one way of doing it. Or does he think he can actually maybe get an in with these guys, get them to help him find Beth, and then he'll try to find a way to get out? There's a lot of different things he could do in the group.
Right. And obviously he doesn't know what Rick knows about these guys. He doesn't know that they're just willy-nilly kill. But he also has to figure that if he says, "No, I'm good. I'm just going to go my own way,"
they're not going to let him go.
They're not going to let him go.
Now, I have a few theories about what you just said. So, one thing that I noticed, and I had to Google it to make sure I wasn't wrong, the guy that gets choked out, and Rick sees him underneath the bed.
Yeah,
that guy was in the group. Bandana Man.
Really?
Bandana Man was there. So either A, Bandana Man didn't die, he just got passed out, or B,
this happened.
Non-linear storytelling. Yeah.
Right.
Daryl could be the guy they were beating up
in the house.
Bam!
Mind blown. Wow. Did you notice that when you were watching?
Yeah, I noticed it was the same guy, and I Googled it today, and there's no official AMC statement, but a lot of people are saying it's the same guy. There's even side-by-side shots. It looks like the same guy.
Right. Interesting.
Bandana Man's in the group. Now, we didn't see Bandana Man necessarily die. He just passed out. But wouldn't he wake up and say, "Hey, right before we got in that fight, asshole, there was some guy underneath the bed."
Yeah. Freaking douchebag. I was trying to tell you something. But, I mean, wow, that's awesome.
Yeah, so
that's kind of cool.
I think that the guy died, or, well, I don't know. He didn't turn into a zombie, so maybe he didn't die. So it could be, timeline-wise, it could be normal. Right. But there's a chance that this happened beforehand. Yeah.
Dude, that's pretty cool.
And what if Daryl was the guy they were beating up downstairs?
Right.
That might be in today's episode.
Right, it could be.
Or next week's.
So the next episode, again, more to Terminus, and I'm just going to throw out, just so it's on record, that I believe that my theory of that all the groups are coming together at Terminus. They're going to come up on some big gathering, like fire and brimstone kind of thing.
Yeah.
And there's going to be an altar out in the middle of this group. Beth is going to be splayed out on this altar as like a virgin sacrifice. And there's going to be some dude wearing like a pig head.
He's have a goat head.
A goat head or something like that. And that's going to be, either she's getting ready to be stabbed or they actually do it. And that's going to be how the season ends kind of thing. And I don't know if I was talking to you about this the other day, but the guy who I want to be the next bad guy, the actor.
Wilford Grimley.
Yes. Eat your Quaker Oats. No, it's, the guy that played the bad security guard in the Shawshank Redemption.
Yeah.
And, he's just like, he's such a good, like,
I don't know who he is. I know him from that character. Yeah.
But he always played, he was the, in Highlander, he was the Kurgan.
I never watched Highlander.
What?
Yeah, I've never watched Highlander. I know what it is. I know the lore of it. I've just never watched it all the way through. I remember seeing it as a kid, but I didn't watch it.
Connor McLeod. But that guy would be all, he's like, did you ever watch, Carnival on HBO?
No, I don't think so.
That was a good show. But he was in that show too. God. But yeah, I mean, like,
I know from Shawshank Redemption.
But yeah, I mean, I think something like that is going to happen. I think these people kidnapped her not just to, like, you know, like some stupid rape kind of thing like that. I mean,
if they did that, so I don't want the story just to go there because I just think it's just too simple. But if they did that, I do want the show to get uncomfortable again. Like, I kind of feel like The Walking Dead's turned into this whole, like, kind of like, you know, it's not really challenging in any way for most viewers. And that would make it uncomfortable again. Like, that would bring kind of the governor back.
Right.
But at the same time, it is kind of a story crutch that these apocalyptic type shows and stuff, they use a lot, you know? Right.
And the thing is like, in something like this, and not necessarily even if it was just zombies, but like anytime they kind of break down like that, you're going to have like the various kind of, I don't mean to generalize it like just rednecks, but you know, like, like people that would like just go out and kidnap a girl and rape her and keep her as a sex slave.
But there's people like that in the normal, normal world.
But I mean, like, I don't think that's a realistic story arc for the show. Just something like that.
To happen once is one thing, but like, you know, if they do that story again.
And the other thing is like, if somebody's going to do that, you never would ever find her.
Oh yeah. You would never rescue her.
There would be no point in doing all that. So obviously, you want them to see that car with the cross on it. There was a purpose and all that. And obviously Beth is going to be back at some point.
So the car with the cross. So like that I think is a clue because apparently I didn't read this far in the comics, but apparently there's a character in the comics, the priest, and he was a character that was not necessarily a good guy, but turns out to kind of help the group in the end. And I believe it may have something to do with the hunters. Another theory I read online was that it could be something to do with Negan. And if they're planning on bringing Negan in next season, then Negan apparently has wives, which is just basically women that he's kind of kidnapped and they live with him. So it could be that. But again, we've had no clues.
Well, didn't they
of Negan?
No, I don't remember if we mentioned it on. I think we did mention on this that they were saying that. Now that's just them talking too.
Yeah, I kind of think maybe they're sending it. They might be just taking people off the Negan chase, and maybe it really because I don't see Negan coming up in season 9.
Right,
that's just crazy.
No, I don't think so either.
I could see Negan being the next big bad guy.
You have to again. They've said that as far as this season, that the final episode is going to be a coming together.
Yeah.
And so that just sets it up. That's why I think something like that.
Now, they said they haven't done their most controversial episode yet.
That's true. And again, that's what it could be like.
Yeah.
A Beth, but are you going to show Herschel beheaded and then the next member of the family get tortured and killed? Kind of not in the same way, but I think they might too. But
I think they might.
Who knows? Maybe they find Beth and then
I'll put it this
and then
way.
come with the baby, and then it's like, wow, a baby sacrifice.
Yeah, that's true. I'll put it this way. I don't think Beth is making it out of the season.
No. Like we said, somebody's got to die.
Because I don't think they're going to do the whole, because they got the whole Beth and getting close to John's here. We got the whole Beth and Daryl getting close.
Right.
I think this is basically signing her death warrant. Like I think she's dying next because of this.
They've never really developed her character much. I mean, they have a little bit, but never much. Yeah. And then all of a sudden, she gets all this development in the last few episodes. Oh yeah. That's how they make you want to care about her, and then they kill her. Yep.
She's dead. She's dead, dude.
She's dead.
They did it to Herschel.
They did it to Herschel.
They did it to the prisoner guy. We didn't even know his backstory until his death episode.
Like, literally, he was telling his backstory when he died.
Yeah. So I really feel like, I don't know if it'll be that she's a sacrifice. I think she might, just because of the statement about the most controversial episode yet. And then just last year, we had the guy that locked those girls up in his house for 10 years or something. I think that would add some controversy to this. I bet Beth is like Negan's wife, one of Negan's wives, or he's kidnapped by somebody that's going to rape her and kill her or something.
Right.
Because I think that's what they meant by the most controversial episode yet. I don't know. We'll have to see.
She's going to die.
She's definitely going to die this season, I feel like.
I think so, too. All right.
Now, I'm really curious about the whole, like, Daryl might be the guy getting beat up in the...
That's interesting.
In the house thing.
I didn't even think about that. That's really cool. I like that.
I heard that today. I was watching somebody's like YouTube review.
Right.
And he brought that up, and I was actually in here setting things up for the show, like just before we went on the air, and he said that, and I was like, "Oh!" I gotta go write. I was like, I gotta go write that down.
That's awesome. I like that.
Yeah, and then I googled it, and it's totally the same guy. So I don't know how this is playing out, but I'm thinking that that's a clue that this happened before Rick in the under the bed.
Right.
Anyway, we'll have to see. So tonight's episode is coming on in about 20 minutes, so I got to get out of here and order a pizza. And, I was thinking, we'll talk about this off the air, but I kind of wish we could do this a different day other than Sunday.
I know, it's kind of weird, isn't it?
If this is the only day we can get together, that's just the way it is.
Right.
But I feel like we'd have a lot better listenership because people...
Everyone's getting ready to watch it right now.
Yeah, everybody's going to watch. They're all going to watch whatever tonight's episode is, which is... let's see, I can tell you real quick. The Grove. Which has a picture of Carol in the cover photo. And she's staring out a window, and the teaser was those kids playing with the zombie out in a field out of a window. So this is a Carol episode, I'm thinking. They're going to watch this episode tonight. Why would they need to go back and listen to our podcast about the previous two episodes? You know what I mean?
Right.
So I wish we could do this like on Monday or something. Yeah. I'm free on Mondays afternoons, but we'll talk about it. We'll talk about it.
I'm usually off Mondays.
Yeah, we might can move it then.
All right.
But anyway, so thanks for listening. Check us out at TalkThaWalk.com. We made a Facebook page. Let's see. Yep, it is Facebook.com/TalkThaWalk. THA, yeah, Talk the Walk.
Our street cred.
And hashtag street cred. If you get that, you're a true friend. Thanks. Have a week. Supposed to have some audio there.
I'll sing.
There it is.
It's hard to grasp sometimes. As someone can tell you, your life is about to be altered, and then everything changes. It's crazy, right? This one goes out to everyone who's taken something unexpected and turned it around. Life's work. The greatest minds of our time begin a new